century, intellectuals were overwhelmingly on the side that differences between races were due to their genes, and that it was the black man could not possibly, do the things that white people could do, and so on. By the end of the century, everything was explained by discrimination. Neither wanted to touch culture because it would undercut their one cause explanation.
Tom, you talked a lot about the Jews of Germany, and that they were very, very successful. They were top lawyers, doctors, composers, playwrights, scientists, and you saw how they were treated. Had the Jews of Germany not been treated the way they were treated, that country would conceivably have evolved a lot different because of the drain of all the Jews that came here to this country that helped to fight and defeat Nazi Germany.
Oh, absolutely. When I was in Germany some years ago, a German industrialist said, at one time Germany led the world in various fields of medicine, but those are mostly German Jews. And as a result of Hitler's policies, Germany has never recovered that leadership again.
We've talked a lot, Tom, about the damage that's been done to the nuclear intact family in America by the welfare state and the disproportionate damage it's done to the black family. Where are people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and the Congressional Black Caucus on the damage done by the left-wing policies that they've been pushing for the last couple of centuries? That's kind of a rhetorical question, Tom.
Well, they are nowhere to be seen as far out as the horizon.
And you've talked about the damage done to the black family as being worse than the damage done to the black family by slavery.
Well, most black kids were raised in two-parent households, even during the era of slavery, and for generations thereafter in the Jim Crow South. But it's only after you brought in the Great Society under Lyndon Johnson, the expansion of the welfare state, that you saw the disintegration of the black family. One statistic, I think, that shows up the difference, if you look at black husband-wife families, regardless of their educational level, background, you name it, the poverty rate among black married couples has been in single digits every year since 1994, despite the tremendous amount of poverty in the black community at large.
Tom, I know you have to go. Let's just talk real quickly, if you can, about the election in November. Are you confident? Are you optimistic? Are you depressed? Are you worried? How would you describe your mindset?
Depressed is probably the one that comes the closest to it, because I see two possible outcomes. The best of which is that Obama gets defeated. If Obama does get defeated, I'll be quite surprised if there are not race riots across the United States. Because as a result of the Great Society and other programs and its programs that continued, the government has subsidized a whole army of community organizers, leaders, unquote, who have every incentive to keep the black community as tense as possible, paranoid, and if Obama loses, it may be the cleanest election in American history. They will say that he was cheated out of it because he was black.
Let me just understand what you're saying, Tom. You're telling me that you believe if Obama gets defeated, there's going to be race riots in the country, not because he was defeated, but because of the unraveling of the welfare state and the dependency of the welfare state of so many people who have a vested interest in keeping things the way they are?
Well, no, it's not quite that rational. I think that there are a lot of people out there who have every incentive to polarize the races, and they're being supported in innumerable government programs. I mean, from the Al Sharptons and Jesse Jackson right on down to the local street corner rabble-rouser. And I cannot believe that they will sit there quietly and see this man defeated, if he is defeated, and not say that it was a fraud.
So you're saying that people are going to say that the election was stolen from Obama, the way Kerry is still saying that he lost the election because it was stolen from him in Ohio?
Yes.
Wow. And that it will lead to race riots?
Yeah, it will, I think.
What if Obama gets defeated, Tom, but Republicans don't get control of the Senate?
Oh my God, it'll be just a total turmoil, because so much of what Obama did has to be undone. You can't just let it keep on under its own inertia. because it's set up in such a way that he's flooded the bureaucracies with his chosen people, with people who think that it's their job to just lean on business. One of them said, "We've got a foot on the throat of British Petroleum." Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I mean, if someone is in wielding power has that kind of attitude, you're not going to have the kind of country that was set up 200 years ago and that we've lived under since then with generally good results.
My guest is economist Tom Sowell. All right, Tom, you wake up on Wednesday, the day after the election, Wednesday morning. Republicans have taken control of the Senate. They've retained control of the House. Mitt Romney is president-elect. How does Tom Sowell feel then?
I'll feel that we've dodged the bullet. I'll be apprehensive, one, that if there are going to be riots breaking out, but two, that I realize that the mere fact that we could ever have elected someone like Barack Obama with no experience in any serious executive capacity, no accomplishments other than political, rhetoric, and that we put our lives and the lives of our families and the future of the nation in this man's hands because of symbolism. I mean, presidents of the United States don't exist for symbolism. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a life and death position. And if you would go out there and vote for someone on the basis of this, that he's the first black president. I mean, if Iran nukes some American cities and we wake up and find some place where our friends and family are in radioactive ruins, nobody's going to care whether he was the first black president. Mm-hmm. But people are going to vote based, many of them, on that kind of symbolism.
Well, Tom, I've always been cautiously pessimistic. I believe that you're going to wake up on Wednesday, the day after the election, and find that we've elected Mitt Romney and Republicans have taken control of the Senate and retained control of the House, and you will have dodged a bullet. I will bet you a 16-ounce glass of Perrier, because neither you nor I drink, that's going to be the result, Tom.
All right, you're on.
You're on.
We're encouraging gambling, but what the heck?
Tom Sowell, thanks a lot, Tom.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
McIntyre in the morning, every day on your way to work.
I think the best part of the deal is that Andrew Bynum was gone. Because I watched that last year, and I really believe this. As talented as Bynum was, he's a cancer on that team. And they tried to keep it out of the press and tried to keep it from going public as much as possible. But this is a guy who was dissing the coach, who was disrespecting his teammates. Now you have a legitimate dream team in Los Angeles with 3 Hall of Famers on the same line.
Local and vocal. Talk Radio 790 KABC. 790 KABC. Skylord Traffic.
One of the toughest drives we see is a 405 northbound at Century Boulevard there at LAX, a problem in the carpool lane. But really, what we're seeing on the 405 is delay starting at LAX and staying with you all the way up to the valley towards the 5 in Sylmar. Look, brought to you by your Southern California Cadillac dealers. Summer's best event from Cadillac. Celebrate summer with 0% APR financing for qualified buyers and all 2012 Cadillac models, including the stunning SRX crossover. Link to contract limited. Take delivery by 9/4/12. South 710 in Washington, a stall in the center lane. A lot of cars overheating. It is miserable out there. South 710 for the 60 down to Washington, you barely move. 91 eastbound is going to be a struggle right from the 110. There's a pretty bad crash. 91 freeway eastbound right at the 605 in Cerritos. They're clearing from the fast lane. That's the traffic. I'm Scott, right to Skylord Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Office Depot has incredible back-to-school specials, plus the latest technology in the coolest supplies. Office Depot, they save you time. Depot time.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-895-8035. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Donate your vehicle and you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-895-8035. That's 1-800-895-8035.
It's the oldest advice in the book. If it seems too good to be true, then it probably is. Now along comes Proposition 32, a ballot initiative deliberately written to seem like it will fix a broken system, when in fact, Prop 32 isn't at all what it seems.
It's really a deceptive proposition stuffed with special exemptions for the oil companies, Wall Street, and those secret campaign super PACs who want to rig the system while the middle class pays the price.
We need real reform that brings real transparency and gets the secret money out of politics.
Leading reform groups like the League of Women Voters and Common Cause all oppose Prop 32.
Learn the truth about who's really behind Prop 32 at votenoon32.org.
Because it's not what it seems.
Paid for by No on 32, sponsored by educators, firefighters, school employees, healthcare providers, police officers, and labor organizations opposed to special exemptions from campaign finance rules for corporate special interests. Major funding by California Teachers Association, Issues PAC, California Professional Firefighters Ballot Issues Committee, and IEPAC and SEIU Local 1000 committees.
This is Peter Tilden, and tonight on Peter Tilden Live at 9 right here on Talk Radio 790 KBC, we'll find out if our power grid is holding up or are we going to have brownouts. What are we going to do with our postal service? It's losing so much money, and just how good is Dwight Howard? Tonight at 9 o'clock right here on Talk Radio 790 KBC.
Jason Bourne was the tip of the iceberg.
Who the hell is he?
He's an outcome agent.
He's treadstone without the inconsistency. We have never seen evaluations like this.
Peter Tilden Live at 9 is brought to you by The Bourne Legacy, starring Jeremy Renner, Rachel Weisz, and Edward Norton. Bourne was just the beginning. Directed by Tony Gilroy. Rated PG-13. In theaters now.
Brought to you by Jack in the Box. All summer long, Jack in the Box is offering any large fountain drink for just $1 plus tax. Head to a Jack in the Box near you today and beat the heat with a cold, refreshing drink for only $1 at participating locations.
I'm Steve Kindred in the KABC 24-hour news center. Some stories we're following. A man cops say injected a San Fernando Valley boy with a fatal dose of heroin has just pleaded not guilty to murder charges. And today is the peak of the heat wave, but the sweat index continues to rise. Okay, I made that up. Like it? We'll have those stories and more coming up at the top of the hour. But now back to Larry Elder on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Maria is in Orange County. How you doing, Maria?
Oh, my goodness. Wonderful, Larry. You never cease to just amaze me. Thank you so much for that wonderful conversation, that dialogue you had with this gentleman. You just gave me so much hope. You really did, because this type of interviews, you're putting them on the air, and hopefully people will start waking up, you know. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. I'm in the car. I'm boiling. I'm sweating because I just needed to say thank you, Larry. And, you know, I'm hopeful.
Maria, was that the first time you'd ever heard Tom Sowell?
First time ever, and believe me, Larry, I am going to pick up this man's books, because that's how I educate myself. I read, because I don't know a lot of what happened to us. I wanted this president to be successful. I did. He's a man of color. I'm a woman of color. I wanted, you know, what is happening to us? What is going on? But, you know, and it's encouraging, because I have an 18-year-old girl, and I see certain, you know, there's young people that there's a lot of hope, okay?
Well, Maria, I encourage you to get Tom Sowell's books. He's written about 40 of them, and you think I am somebody of courage. Imagine saying the kind of stuff that I say 30, 40 years ago when Tom Sowell started saying it. Imagine the hate mail. Imagine the death threats. He doesn't even allow anybody to have his home address or his phone number. Whenever we book him, he calls us. We don't call him. He's the only guest that we do that with, because he doesn't want anybody to have his phone number. And when I visited him, I flew up there and he met me, and I was very secretive, and we went to his house, but it was this bizarre kind of thing, because he's so concerned about the death threats he's gotten over the years. Now, it's 2012. Imagine in the 1960s going on television, 1970s going on television, as he did, and say that race-based preferences, or so-called affirmative action, was a bad idea. Back in those days, nobody really thought that way. The idea was that after the civil rights movement and Brown versus Board of Education, as Martin Luther King said, you can't just take off the chains and now say go and run the race, because some people have been hobbled. So it just seemed fair and appropriate that there would be a period of time where there would be sort of advantages given to some people because of historical injustices. And Tom Sowell went on William F. Buckley's show and very quietly said How are you going to determine the effect of this kind of thing?